A very good morning to all of you. As I have been introduced just now, let me place it before the house that I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in the topic in which I'm going to present. Basically, I'm a science student. That too, having life science aspects where the creatures can be seen only in a microscope. But I'm proud to share the topic before the august audience for two reasons. Number one, I'm heading an university which is located in the center of Kalyana, Karnataka region, that is at Kalaburagi, earlier Gulbarga. And I belong to that place right from my childhood. So I am proud always to talk on the topic in the field of education, limiting to the priority policies essentially need to be looked into regarding the Kalyana Karnataka region. Let me thank both the organizations for giving me this opportunity. My special thanks to Gaurish and his team for being after me continuously, ensuring my presence here, and then to share some of my views with regard to the topic, education policy priorities for Kalyana, Karnataka. I have stalwarts here, my colleague, Professor Algur, Vice-Chancellor of Vijayanagar Sri Krishna Deva University, and other esteemed expert faculty members of various disciplines. And I'm very happy to see a colleague, friend from the Central University of Karnataka, who would be continuing my part, focusing the economics policies of this Kalyana Karnataka. And I'm very pleased to see my fellow syndicate member, Sangmesh Pujari, who is here in this audience. Yes, friends, first couple of slides. Yeah, being teacher, normally we follow these PowerPoint presentations. First couple of slides would be recapitulating the insight of the national education policy, the spirit of the national education policy, which has been given to us. Of course, we all very well know that the state of Karnataka is a leader in the implementation of the NEP 2020, understanding the NEP 2020, and then looking very eagerly for the improvements in its implementation and the output of NEP 2020, which has been commenced a year back with undergraduation programs. Yes, though we'll be looking into the priority policies of education need to be looked into pertaining to the Kalyana Karnataka region, quickly let us recapitulate, as I said, some of the insights of the national education policy. So I just try to put it as purpose of education as it has been envisaged in the National Education Policy 2020. To develop good human beings capable of rational thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, scientific temper and creative imagination with ethical values that need to be underlined. The National Education Policy 2020 is the first education policy of the 21st century and aims to address the many growing developmental imperatives of the country. That is the aim of the NEP 2020. The pursuit of knowledge, jnana, wisdom, pragya, and truth, satya, was always considered in Indian thought and philosophy as the highest human goal with which national education policy is looking at the development of the nation. These are the basic concepts, principles on which NEP is being framed. World-class institutions of ancient India, such as Takshashila, Nalanda, Vikramshila, Vallabhi, there are several others, set the highest standards of multidisciplinary teaching and research. My dear friends, so-called multidisciplinary teaching and research, which is being emphasized in the national education policy, of course, it is being rooted the Indian heritage of such great world-class institutions, which I'll be sharing with one of the premier institutions, which is located in Kalyana, Karnataka too, in the next few slides. Let me also recapitulate the heritage of Indian knowledge, which gives us a direction, a light, a force for the formulation of the National Education Policy 2020. The rich heritage of ancient and central Indian knowledge and thought has been guiding light for the National Education Policy, no doubt. The Indian education system produced great scholars. Many of you are much aware than me with the great scholars who are there in Indian knowledge system who has made a significant contributions like Charaka, Sushruta, Aryabhatta, Bhaskaracharya, Chanakya, among numerous others who made seminal contributions to the world knowledge in diverse fields of education. Indian culture and philosophy have had a strong influence on the world education. My dear friends, this is the major goal with which the NEP 2020 is emphasizing how Indian knowledge system could be the model, could be the standard for the world-class institutions and at the global standards. It is the Indian heritage or Indian knowledge system with which we want to set the standards at the global level. That is the insight of the NEP 2020 we need to understand. The rich legacies of Indian heritage must not only be nurtured and preserved for posterity, but also researched, enhanced, and put to new uses through the education. With these basic insights of the National Education Policy, let me come to the topic of my presentation, Kalyana, Karnataka. Yes, it has been already introduced to you, the Kalyana, Karnataka. Karnataka is perceived as a very forward-looking state in terms of education, as it houses several premier institutions having made a mark at the global, national, and regional levels. That is the base because of which Karnataka could able to lead the country in implementation of the national education policy and then moving ahead. Kalyana, Karnataka must take leverage of this to make educational advancement as its developmental agenda. As an academic leader, I'm putting my efforts in this direction to share some of my views. I'm here to share some of my views and get your inputs and the feedback, how best we can take further the system of education in general, higher education in particular, focusing the Kalyana, Karnataka. The districts of Bidar, Kalaburagi, Yadgiri, Raichur, Koppal, Bellary, and Vijayanagara, constituting Kalyana, Karnataka region, receive special focus. Yes, as a matter of fact, under a special Constitutional Act 371J, Kalyana, Karnataka Development Board has been constituted and it is functioning, keeping the Kalaburagi as a central headquarters for a lot of developmental activities. Of course, taking the education. NEP 2020 is providing a unique opportunity for the region to take a leap in the education sector, especially by setting up special education zones with intense focus on offering quality education. It is just pictorial presentations. Those who are not well versed with the geographical location, we have our country, we have the location of Karnataka, and then in Karnataka, you can see the districts which constitutes the Kalyana, Karnataka. I'll be focusing about 2 to 3 important aspects on which I'm trying to understand myself that how priorities of education policies can be looked upon and how we can further make some policies through governance and implementation, how higher education can be developed and enriched, focusing the Kalyana Karnataka region. Rich religious heritage is one basic aspect. If you look back into the national education policy, it is the heritage of Indian knowledge system, Indian education system as a base for the formulation of the national education policy. And now I'm just restricting to the heritage of Kalyana Karnataka, focusing the rich religious heritage. ಬಹುಶಃ ಕನ್ನಡದವರು ಭಾಳ ಜನ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ ನಾನು. With a due respect to the others who could not follow the Kannada, let me just read ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಪದ್ಯ ಇದೆ, ದ ರಾ ಬೇಂದ್ರೆಯವರು ಬರೆದಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ದ ರಾ ಬೇಂದ್ರೆಯವರು ಬರೆದಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಜೈನರ ಕಾವ್ಯದ ಶರಣರ ವಚನದ ದಾಸರ ಹಾಡಿನ ನಾಡಿದು. ದ ರಾ ಬೇಂದ್ರೆಯವರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಂಥ ಒಂದು ಅದ್ಭುತವಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಒಂದು ಲೈನ್ದ ಪದ್ಯ ಇದು. ದಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ a very rich religious culture of the Kalyana Karnataka. ಭಾಳ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಬರೀತಾರೆ, ಜೈನರ ಕಾವ್ಯದ ಶರಣರ ವಚನದ ದಾಸರ ಹಾಡಿನ ನಾಡಿದು. These are the 3 dominant religious cultures that have been practiced and are being practiced in Kalyana Karnataka region. My friends, you'll be surprised if I say that right from 12th century. To begin with, I said, I'm basically a science student, but I'm just trying to understand the spirit of the national education policy on which it has been developed and how we can look upon the formulation of the priorities of the policies of the education in Kalyana Karnataka region, looking into the concepts of religious cultures in this Kalyana Karnataka. Let me share with 3 important. There are many others. Just to share with you, I have just given these 3 important cultures. ಶರಣಾಸ್, ಬಹುಶಃ ತಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, 12ನೇ ಶತಮಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಸವೇಶ್ವರನ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಸವ ಪ್ರಥಮಾದಿ ಶರಣನ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಿಟ್ಟರೆ ವಚನ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ, ವಿಚ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ concept, principles which can lead the world. This is the concept of vachana, really, with which a policy, if it has been framed, this can be a global standard to direct the entire world. Forget about Kalyana Karnataka and the India. There's the reason why Basaveshwara has been accepted by the world as Vishwaguru. ನಾವೇನಾದರೂ ಉನ್ನತ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣದ ಈ ಒಂದು ಗಮನದಲ್ಲಿಟ್ಟುಕೊಂಡು ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರ, ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶ ವಿಶ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ನೋಡೋದಾದರೆ, ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಡೇಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಟು ಲೀಡ್ ದ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್. ಬಸವಣ್ಣನವರು ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅವರ ತತ್ವಗಳನ್ನು, ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತಗಳನ್ನು ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಲೀಡ್ ದಿ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಹೈಯರ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಚನ ಎಷ್ಟು ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, I would like to share with you and illustrate with you as a science student. It is something like, I think those who are from the science background can understand what is a codon and a triplet codon. Genetics, we get these kind of a concept. These vachana sahityas are in the form of the codes and the triplet codes. Codes are being received from the society and in the form of the triplet codons that are being responding back to the society for its development. My dear friends, these are the concepts and principles given by several Sharanas way back in 12th century. We can see the root of the national education policy way back in several such religious cultures, way back into the 12th century. Kalyana Karnataka has definitely got several such roots of national education policy through Sharanas, through Vachanas. There are many experts who can talk about the various vachanas and then illustrate them. I'm not going to that part. But looking at the Sharana Sahitya or vachanas from the point of the national education policy, my dear friends, certainly we have to look into these vachanas and the Sharana Sahitya for the formulation of the education priority policies for the Kalyana Karnataka. And one important word, work is worship. Kannadadalli kayakave devaru anta ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. I do not know to what extent effectively it can mean in English. Kayakave devaru. If you look back into our multidisciplinary approach, if you look back into the so-called skill enhancement courses, skills, kayaka, work, they are all the basic things which are being practiced in the 12th century itself, which have been propagated very well with several integrated communities, several integrated work or diverse nature of the works are the skills. Kaya kave kailasa. That is the principle of the skills which need to be given to our youth today. Integrated approach so that holistically we can develop the youth for their development, the development of the society and the development of the nation. Dasas. Dasaru anta ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. There are many across the globe, across the country. But please remember the Kalyana Karnataka, particularly focusing the Raichur district and the Gulbarga district, very predominantly, since ages, Dasas through their a kind of poems, what we normally call them as kirtanas, they have a lot of impact on the society. Vijay Dasaru, Jagannath Dasaru, Sri Rama Dasaru. It may be surprising for you, my dear friends, if I say that Sri Rama Dasaru belonged to the Muslim community, Muslim religion. You just imagine what kind of a communal harmony. We're not just visualizing, it's a fact which was there. Our record speaks there. That was the communal harmony concept given through the concepts of Dasa Sahitya. And Jains, again, very rich heritage of the culture through which they have served the society, particularly from the Kannada literature. Kannada ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾದಂಥ ಕೊಡುಗೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಂಥ ರನ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ಪಂಪರು. Ranna belongs to the Kalyana Karnataka. My friends, what I'm just trying to say is, I'm not just explaining the historical, cultural aspects of the Kalyana Karnataka, but that is a route with which we need to think for the formulating or the framing of the policies, how we can take all these issues, aspects, components, either in the curriculum or in the skills or whatsoever it is. Ultimately, it is those concepts, it is those principles which we need to inculcate the national education policy while teaching to the youth. So there are many such religious cultures, but it's enough. I'm told that I need to speak only for 30 minutes. And I'm very keen on taking to the another important aspect, heritage of Kalyana Karnataka. In addition to these previous religious cultures, I just would like to draw your attention towards heritage of Kalyana Karnataka. Takshashila University, Nalanda University. My dear friends, if I look back into the past history of Kalyana Karnataka, it's equally a great world-class institution which is named as Nagavi University, which is located in Kalaburagi, Chitapur. Nagavi is a small place. With this university, even today, we have several footages there. If you really look back into the contributions made by such world-class institutions in Kalyana Karnataka, really that helps us to a greater extent in formulating the policies of education for the development of focusing the Kalyana Karnataka region. Rashtrakutas, which is integral part of Kalyana Karnataka. Kaviraja Marga, ಅದ್ಭುತವಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ರಾಜಮಾರ್ಗ ತೋರಿಸಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ಇಡೀ ಸಮಾಜದ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಗೆ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್, ಮೈ ಡಿಯರ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್, ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಲುಕ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದೆಮ್. You can look into them, really try to grab the concept principles that are lying in that Kaviraja Marga, through which Rashtrakutas have sent a great message to the society for its development. It is worth considering all the heritages of Kalyana Karnataka while framing the policies for higher education, in particular pertaining to the Kalyana Karnataka. Vijayanagar Empire, I don't have to detail about it. And if you, some of you may be aware about, you might have heard Kiskinda. ಉತ್ತರ ಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ರಾಮ ಜನ್ಮಭೂಮಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ, ಆ ರಾಮನ ಭಕ್ತ ಆದಂಥ ಹನುಮಾನರು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಂಥ ಸ್ಥಳ, ಹನುಮಾನರ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ ಕಿಸ್ಕಿಂದ. It is in Kalyana, Karnataka. And you can look into that, how the heritage right from the top of the north, which can percolate down to the south. So national education policy, which is aiming at the development of the nation as a whole, where we have started in the Karnataka, now we are focusing to the Kalyana Karnataka. Thanks to the organizers making it as a, giving an emphasis for a special focus of Kalyana Karnataka. Can't we develop Kiskinda as a on par with Rama Janmabhoomi? Why not? Otherwise we'll be missing it, my dear friends. It shall be the policy of the higher education. It should be developed. So the question is, the point what we are trying to understand is, it is not just materialistic development. The concept, principles, ಯಾವ ಶ್ರದ್ಧೆ, ಯಾವ ಭಕ್ತಿ, ಯಾವ ಕಾಯಕದಿಂದ ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅಳವಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಅದನ್ನೇ ಹಾಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜನರೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಮುಟ್ಟಿಸಬೇಕು ಶಿಕ್ಷಣದ ಮುಖಾಂತರ. How this can lead our youth for a healthy society. That is the most important. They are the things which need to be inculcated in the policies. And in this just I have made one small sentence, like I don't know how many of you would agree with me. Think locally and act locally. Think globally, act locally is a common concept. But being from the Kalyana Karnataka, having pride of heritage of Kalyana Karnataka, yes, let us think locally and act locally for the development of the local region first. Let the philosophy, concept, and principles of all these rich heritage, religious cultures be followed by the world as global standards, system of the models. Let our local policies, let our local richness in all the aspects can be thoroughly formulated, and they can be taken up by the world as global standards. It is not that always we can say, get the standards, let us do something at the global standard. Where is the global standard? The standard at which it is going to be uniformly accepted across the world. Can't we set our local standards, taking to the heights of the global standards? Yes, that is the spirit of the NEP. That is the insight of the NEP. That's how entire world is being attracted towards national education policy of the country. National education policy of the country. Let me be very proud telling that yes, Kalyana Karnataka also may contribute significantly, setting some standards which can be taken up by the nation, country, and the world as the global standards. And that's how we have to develop the policies of Kalyana Karnataka. And then, third aspect, let me not forget regional resources with which Kalyana Karnataka would have been flourished to a greater extent. Geological natural deposits. Bellary iron ore. The moment I say this, iron ore mining, Bellary, don't imagine extremists or extreme activists. Let us look into it as a natural resource, how this can be explored further for the development of the region. Technology which was not there in our country, which was not there in this particular Kalyana Karnataka region, we just used to transport this entire iron ore hundreds of miles together, and we used to send it to the other countries for its further exploration. Getting back into the different farms, why can't we develop the technology? Why can't we frame the policies in such a way that let our natural resources be used, be explored in our own region, develop the technology so that we can be a model, we can be great, rich countries, can be a model to the other countries where our iron ore is being explored. That is lacking. That is lacking in our policies. We need to formulate how technology, how education can be taken up as an integral part of the education policies of the region and the Karnataka state. The region and the Karnataka state. Hatti gold mines. We have iron ore, we have gold ore, and then, my friends, the place where I am located, Gulbarga, limestone. Some of you may be aware, limestone is a major raw material for the production of the cement. Several international, multinational companies are running the large-scale industries in and around Gulbarga, that is the belt of the limestone quarries. None of the local people, none of the youth from this region are leading these industries, What is happening? Can't we think that our education policy should not address these issues? Yes, we have to understand the local resources, natural resources. We have to frame the policies in such a way that ultimately they should reach our younger generation. They should reach our youth. Technologies should raise their hand to explore many such issues. And then naturally economy would be developed. I'm sorry, I have an expert with me who would continue this talk from the point of the economy. Ultimately, my aim is we need to frame the policies, formulate the policies in such a way that it should enrich our youth, our society, our region, our state, ultimately our country. Agriculture and horticulture, just I'll make a passing reference. Pulses, particularly the red gram. My dear friends, I must share with you the pulses, the Gulbarga region, the North Karnataka region, Kalyana Karnataka region has been considered as bowl of pulses of entire South Asia. Togari Kanaja anta ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ, ಬೇಳೆ ಕಾಳುಗಳ ಬಟ್ಟಲು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಇಡೀ ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಏಷ್ಯಾದ ಒಂದು ಬಟ್ಟಲು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ. It has got a lot of demand elsewhere. You know what is happening? We grow the crop, we go for the harvest, and then we get the pulses, and then we export them. Not only the pulses, the raw materials which are being generated while processing of the pulses, husk of the pulses. You'll be surprised if I say that lakhs of tons of husk of pulses are being sent to the neighboring state of Maharashtra, Mumbai and Pune. It is being processed there. And then we get back the same product as animal feed. Just imagine what is happening to our policies, what is happening to our state, what is happening to our region. Why can't we develop the technologies? Very simple technologies. So we do have a lot of natural resources. We are sending them out for the processing and then again paying the heavy money. Again, then we are getting them back. Is it not our responsibility to ensure that policies need to be formulated, re-looked, regional-based, local-based, so that every region, every local region would develop to a greater extent. Ultimately it is the state, and then ultimately it is the country. That's what need to be looked into the education policies of Kalyana Karnataka. I don't touch upon the fruits and vegetables, but I have a very one experience. Whenever I go Bangalore, hardly try to make any difference between onion, carrot and the radish. If I just bite them, I don't make any difference. Please come to the Kalyana Karnataka. You just have one bite. Very significantly you can differentiate onion, carrot and the radish. I do not know how many of you have experienced. What I'm trying to tell it is the climate, it is the soil richness, it is the quality of the water which makes the quality of the fruits, quality of the vegetables. That's why just put a word on climate and biodiversity. If I start talking on biodiversity, which is topic of my heart, it will take several hours. I don't want to touch upon it. And then, lastly, I'm just trying to conceptualize myself about the higher education policy. The region is rich by natural resources, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But common men are poor. ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾಗ, ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರದೇಶ ಬಹಳ ಶ್ರೀಮಂತ ಇದೆ, ಆದರೆ ನಾವು ಬಡವರಿದ್ದೇವೆ. This is the kind of a mindset. Don't we think that policies are not pushing us, taking us to address these kind of issues? Are we poor? Is it so? Absolutely not. Yes, it is true. But if at all it is true, it is only from the point of our mindset. It is only from the point of the mindset. Need to be addressed by these policies very carefully in exploring the rich religious, heritages, and the climatic and biodiversity concepts of Kalyana, Karnataka as an integral part of the policies of the education policy. Integral part of policy and education system, education, technology, and economy. With this, let me conclude with another couple of slides. I have made these 5 points. To make these 5 points, I had a discussion with at least half a dozen of my own people at the Kalyana, Karnataka, with leading education experts. And then we have placed it as tenets for integral growth, which need to be focused from Kalyana, Karnataka. Attitude determines altitude. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ದೃಷ್ಟಿ ಬದಲಾದರೆ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ ಬದಲಾದೀತು. It is the attitude determines altitude. This is a very challenging component which need to be addressed in the education policy in general. Education for knowledge. Yes, we are in a system where we are trying to understand the education for only degrees. We have to overcome that. Education for knowledge, education for wisdom, and then education for growth. There are a lot of missing components in the policies in addressing the education or in making the education. Let education need not be only for the degrees. Education has to be for the knowledge, no doubt. It should not stop at the knowledge. It should take further. It should make the wisdom. That should help for the growth of the region, growth of the state and the country as a whole. Mindset, work ethics, and work culture. I hope I don't have to explain this. Let us try to actualize our own self. Each one of us has to actualize this. Each one of us. Our mindset, our work ethics, our work culture, if that is improved, naturally everything would be flourished and enriched. But unfortunately, we have to make it as a policies, which is painful, but still it is inevitable at this stage. We have to somewhere address these issues, particularly for our youth and the younger generation. And then environment, agriculture, and biodiversity shall be the prime policies. My dear friends, the last aspect I was compelled to place it by some of my friends, that proactive individuals are always constructive and creative. How many of are there? Our education policy should address majority of the people should become proactive so that always they will be constructive and always they will be creative. And this nature, if it is being addressed properly through the education policies, the entire youth would be always constructive and the proactive for the developmental issues. My last slide, my dear friends, not from the point that Siddheshwar Swamiji is no more physically, he is with us, no doubt about it, but the so-called pride of Kalyana, Karnataka. I wish to tribute through this platform. I'm very proud to say that Siddheshwar Swamiji is a pride of Kalyana, Karnataka, not just geographically from Vijaypur, but Kalyana, Karnataka. Let me tell you, my dear friends, The very nomenclature of Kalyana Karnataka has been conceptualized by Siddheshwar Swamiji, and then it has been passed through Basuraj Patilji Shedam. Otherwise, erstwhile Kalyana Karnataka was known as Hyderabad Karnataka. From centuries together. I hope many of you are aware that Hyderabad Karnataka or Kalyana Karnataka got the independence after 1 year, 3 months of the nation. 1947 ಆಗಸ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಸಿಕ್ಕರೆ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ ಸುಮಾರು 1 ವರ್ಷ 3 ತಿಂಗಳ ನಂತರ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ. It was in the hands of someone else. ಆ 1 ತಿಂಗಳು 3 ವರ್ಷದ ನಂತರ ಪಡೆದಂಥ ಹೈದರಾಬಾದ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ 2010 onwards it has been conceptualized as Kalyana Karnataka by Siddheshwar Swamiji. My dear friends, there was a very revolutionary historic event that was held during 2010 in the name of Kalaburagi Kampu. A national historic event where 25 lakh people have been witnessed over 1 week. And that is the boost for the people of Kalyana Karnataka to actualize, realize that we are equal to everyone. We can enrich ourselves. We are capable. It is the Siddheshwar Swamiji who could really give this concept of Kalyana Karnataka. ಅವರು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಇದು ಕೊಡುವ ನಾಡಾಗಬೇಕು, ಬೇಡುವ ನಾಡಾಗಬಾರದು. ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅರ್ಥ ಬರ್ತದೋ. ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಇಡೀ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ, ಇಡೀ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶ ಕೊಡುವ ನಾಡಾಗಬೇಕು ಹೊರತೆ ಬೇಡುವ ನಾಡಾಗಬಾರದು. Remember, my dear friends, this is the concept, the principle given by Sharanas, Vachanas way back in 12th century. Why it was not taken up so significantly in the policies of the education, elsewhere the policies of the entire state for the development. It is the Siddheshwar Swamiji who could make this concept of Kalyana Karnataka as a great giving region, not demanding region. That is the paradigm shift we see in Kalyana Karnataka from 2010 onwards, where Basuraj Patilji Shedam thriving very hard to make this Kalyana Karnataka always as a most rich region, using all the heritage concepts that are prevailing in Kalyana Karnataka. And it should be nature-centric. The basic principle of these concepts of both these heroes, I would like to say, the pride of Kalyana Karnataka is nature-centric, not human-centric. So with this, I would like to put an end sharing of my views with you all. More than my sharing views, I would like to have your input, feedback, if possible in the form of the interactions later this also. Thank you all.